Good morning. My name is Amar.
And I'm James.
And we wanted to start the morning off, when we lose the feedback, with a little summary of where we've got to over 3 years. So we want to give you a little glimpse into the work we've been doing over 3 years and show you where we've got to. And that will lead into some of the stories you're going to hear through the rest of the morning. Some of you will have seen this already, which is our big driver diagram for the whole program. This helps us understand where to apply our effort to achieve our goal. Our goal being on the left-hand side here, which is to provide the highest quality mental health and community health in England. That's been our mission for many years. We're going to take you through each of the primary drivers one by one. And we're going to start with our work on building the will, which is about encouraging, engaging, and inspiring people to make a difference. As Mary's already mentioned this morning, this marks 1 year of now introducing quality improvement in Bedfordshire and Luton. So this marks 1 year of quality improvement in Bedfordshire and Luton. And over the last year, we've spent quite a bit of time running a launch event a year ago from now, several roadshows to help engage people in what quality improvement might be. We've also gone to a number of away days, and that culminated 3 weeks ago in the first conference in Bedfordshire and Luton to celebrate the work that they've been doing over the last year. In East London, we try a number of different ways to engage people with quality improvement. For those of you that have been to the headquarters, you'll have seen the visibility wall, which has been there for over a year. That's now multiplied, which is fantastic. And in Newham, over the last few months, they've been co-designing a new wall with service users, carers, and staff all together designing what this is going to look like. And next month, they'll be unveiling what the new wall in the Newham Centre for Mental Health looks like. We try to share our knowledge through many different ways, but one of them is publication. And over the last 3 years, we've managed to publish 13 papers now, which helps build the knowledge internationally about how to tackle complex quality and safety issues in the fields in which we work. We also go beyond academic publications to now trying to reach other people through other media. So we've been publishing a number of case studies and articles with the IHI to reach their global audience. And we've been doing increasing work with NHS Improvement and Care Quality Commission over the last year to help them understand what quality improvement looks like, what it feels like, what they should be looking for in providers when they start to assess quality maturity in an organization. Our website that many of you will have seen already has gone through multiple iterations now. We're really pleased that this fairly small, really low-cost website over 3 years has now seen over 300,000 views, and it's now seen as one of the global resources for quality improvement. We host a number of visits from people who want to see more about our approach to quality, and that can be through open mornings or through the summer camp we hosted for the IHI strategic partners last summer, or for the International Forum on Quality and Safety, which will happen next month, where we host a whole day experience day. And some of the experiences that people have been really profound and had impact back in their home organizations. Here's some of the quotes we've had from people who came to visit us last summer. A range of people from multiple different contexts and different healthcare settings, all taking something away from the work they've seen here at ELFT, which will help them in their efforts to improve the health of their populations. And we do a lot to celebrate as well. So where teams are doing excellent, innovative work, we do our best to make sure they can tell their story and celebrate it. And we've been really pleased to be able to support multiple teams to capture national awards for the work they've been doing. And of course, as Mary mentioned, that has an impact on the experience of work. And some of these staff survey data tell the story of people feeling more empowered and more able to contribute. The one I pay most attention to is the one top left. Staff being able to contribute to improvements at work. For me, that's the litmus test of how empowered people feel in the workplace. And for that, 2 out of the last 3 years, we've had the top score of any provider in England, which is fantastic.
So let's now spend some time thinking about how we've been building improvement skills throughout the organisation. And if you want to see our strategy on one page, this is it. And I guess for me, there's two key points that come out of this. The first is we're not just targeting one group of staff or people. We're working with everybody, from our experts by experience, our service users and our carers, the board, sponsors, coaches, people leading frontline QI projects, anybody in the organisation. So that's a really, really important point. And the second one is it would be wrong just to give one method of training for each of those people, or these groups of people, because everybody needs different skills and experience depending on what role they do. So let's talk through just some of those offerings that we provide. So let's start off with Pocket QI. So Pocket QI, we introduced it about 1.5 years ago. And the reason for that was just to make a far more accessible way for people to get hold of QI training. It's 2 half-day modules. It's designed to be fun, short, easy to get to. And also, rather than people coming to the training, we go to the people. Okay, so we run it through all these locations in East London. We only just started doing it recently in Beds and Luton, and we're doing it at 4 locations there at the moment. But what that summarises as is we've run 24 cohorts now in about 1.5 years, and that's 477 people trained through that offering. Let's move on to Improvement Science and Action. So this is our 6-month deep dive into quality improvement. The key thing for me about this is it's not just about training. It's completely anchored around real-life QI projects. So every single person who comes onto this project is focusing and applying it to a real-life QI project. It contains 5 days of workshops, residential workshops, 3 further WebExes, and it spans 6 months. And so far we have run 6 waves of this, and that's a total of 690 people trained through that offering. Now, about 2 years ago, it became more and more clear that the best way to give projects a chance of success is having somebody with regular contact who's got a bit more knowledge, who can help push projects along and support them. And that's when we started to develop the QI coach role. So all of our QI coaches have ring-fenced time to support those frontline projects. And as part of that, they do an additional 6-month course on top of the Improvement Science and Action course. So far we've trained 2 cohorts, and that's 53 trained. Starting in the next couple of weeks, we have our 3rd cohort with 50 people on that as well. Now, how about our experts by experience? I guess it's first of all important to say that we're not just limiting our training for this group of people just to one particular offering, okay? We want our service users and carers to be able to do anything, whatever they want. Thank you, Doug. So whether we've had people coming on our Improvement Science and Action course, we've had people coming on our Pocket QI course, but we also offer Intro to QI, which is a half-day session for service users and carers. We've run 9 cohorts of this throughout the organisation. We're seeing 95 people trained. So that's focusing on people in the organisation. But what about upstream? Think about all these students, these student nurses, psychologists, people like that who will be staff in the future. So we think it's really, really important to start working upstream before people even get to us. So we're now teaching all postgraduate and undergraduate nursing students at City University, all postgraduate students at University of Bedfordshire, and also all the psychology trainees in the organisation. That's 124 trained now. So we're trying to invest in the future. And finally, due to popular demand, people are starting to say, well, I did my Improvement Science and Action course 3 years ago, but I'd like to top up my knowledge. Or I just want to know specifically about one type of area. So we started putting on masterclasses now as well. We've had 2 so far, one on using data for improvement, one on scale up and spread, and we've seen 85 trained. So this infographic kind of gives you a sense of the proportion of people trained, but which courses they've done. But in total, that brings us to just under 1,500 people trained in about 3 years. Amar.
The third of our primary drivers is probably the hardest one. It's the one about how we are supporting improvement to become part of our daily habits and part of the way we work on a day-to-day basis, rather than being something extra or something separate. What we've learned over 3 years is just how important it is to have support around you when you're doing this really difficult work. So we've already talked about the role of improvement coaches, which is a new thing. Not many places in the world have the level of support that our coaches are able to provide as close to the teams as possible. The role of sponsors is really important, as you heard from Anna in the CAM story on the video earlier. And the way that people have help to get service users and carers involved in the work, which we know is really difficult to do for some services, that's absolutely critical too. Over the last year, we've moved to using an online platform, which we're really proud of now, and we're starting to use more and more. It makes QI easier. It should help people learn from each other much more easily as well. It allows you to see your own work and everyone else's work. You can put in your driver diagram and your charter very easily. You can build things just at a click of a button without having to use Word or PowerPoint anymore. The hardest bit for most of QI is to document your PDSAs, and so this does that for you. The discipline of actually writing down what you do with your PDSA is something that people find very difficult to do when they're actually doing the work, but this makes it easier. It also allows you to put your data in and create your charts, which is for many people is the hardest bit of improvement work. And it allows us to see as an organization or as a system, how are we doing? And it allows us to use analytics to understand that. And so we're building this into now the way we do QI, the way we train people in improvement, and it's going to be a key part of us learning from each other going forwards. Obviously, it's very difficult to do any improvement work if you don't know how you're doing. So our efforts to make as much data as we can available to people is really critical to this. Just to show you how things have really accelerated in the last year, we've gone from 33 different measures being available to anyone to view from their computer to now having 500 measures available from the click of a button. We've gone from 16,000 types of charts available to now having 68,000 charts available for anyone to view from their computer. And that's equating to an increase in viewer stats as well, with about 140 people logging in every month and 340 times the charts are being viewed every month. And obviously this whole approach to embedding it into daily life for us means that we have to keep continually reflecting on the things that we're doing, that we should stop doing, the things that we are doing which we could do differently, which is why we've been so pleased to be able to run a different kind of campaign over the last month called Breaking the Rules, where we've been asking people just to think about the things that we put in the way that stop people doing the things they really care about. And for us, that's just an ongoing thing that we're going to have to keep reflecting and helping people consider as we go forwards.
Okay, so let's now have a look at our QI projects. This would be quite fun. So at the moment, we've got 235 active or completed projects in the organisation. And for me, numbers are important, but they're not as important as the stuff that's around that. I love just looking at the flavour of the different projects that people have picked to work on. So we've grouped them here according to improving, increasing, reducing, but such lovely things like improving lifestyle or reporting or correspondence, increasing activities, services, consciousness, capacity, and reducing things like pressure ulcers, times, attrition. The point is that all of these projects have been generated bottom up. And what you get then is a real nice variety of stuff that really matters to people on the front line. So of those 235 projects, we've got 187 active at the moment. 48 of those are completed. And the really cool stuff is that 51 projects are now showing improvement, with 28 showing really quite significant improvement. The sort of improvement where we'd be thinking about scaling this up and spreading it in the organisation. So we would like to show you a flavour of some of those projects, and it's so hard to pick projects to show when there are so many, but we wanted to give you a flavour of just some of the work that's going on in the organisation at the moment. So let's start over in the John Howard Centre, a project on reducing handcuff usage, and I just love this story because they aimed for a 50% reduction. They've smashed that with 79% reduction in handcuff usage, which is tremendous work, and you'll hear about that. That's one of the posters at the World Cafe. Over at Wolfson House, we've heard from Shah and the team on the Bridge Club quite a few times at the conference. It's lovely to see the data they've got, seeing some real shifts now. And this is a chart showing the number of self-directed community engagement hours around football. That's not a typo, 860% increase, because this is like a brand new thing they're doing, which is really, really impressive work. It's great to see now in Beds and Luton. We started this journey a year ago, and they're now starting to see results. And this is a particularly impressive one. Basically a team working to reduce the time to complete neuropsychological assessments in the memory assessment service. And they are seeing reductions, significant reductions in all areas of Luton, not just one area, but all areas, South Bed, Mids Beds, Luton, Bedfordshire. So it's really, really amazing work there. And let's move to corporates. You've heard this before, but this is an example of a project where they've managed to reduce the time it takes to complete the disciplinary process, 70%, 76% reduction, really impressive stuff. Over in CHN, been working on pressure ulcers, probably one of the most complex problems I think we could work on, seeing a 47% reduction in pressure ulcers. But what I particularly like is here. I mean, talk about bulletproof reliability, 100% for how long? That's really, really impressive. That's what you call a reliable system. And finally, in MHCOP, the team on Leadenhall we're working on reducing length of stay, and they're seeing a 35% reduction in bed occupancy, 46% reduction in length of stay, which is truly amazing. So we've also got a number of wards working on kind of what we'd call high priority areas. And one of those high priority areas is reducing violence. We've got Tower Hamlets, all the adult mental health wards at Tower Hamlets, in Newham and also in Hackney working on this, and also now forensics as well. And this is fantastic. Across the entire trust now, looking as an organisation, we're seeing a continued and sustained 42% reduction in violence. And probably what's useful to see in that context is if you look down here at these charts here, this is benchmarking us against other NHS organisations in England. And this really tells you a story, because when we started the work, we were above average. Okay, above average for both physical violence to patients and physical violence to staff. And we're now in a position with this improvement work where we're seeing that we're well below average. And in the case of physical violence to staff, we're in the bottom 25%. I think that's really, really amazing, considering violence is how often being considered as one of these intractable problems that you can't solve. And you guys have proved that that is the wrong. If that doesn't do it for you, another way of looking at this. So before we started the improvement work, we were seeing on average 175 physical violence of incidents per month. Now we're seeing 103. Still a long way to go, but we must celebrate that that is an impressive reduction. And then let's have a final look at access to services. This is particularly important for our service users and their carers. And we're seeing across a team of 14 who've been working on this throughout the organisation, close to a 20% reduction in waiting times to be seen, 36% reduction in DNAs, people not turning up to appointment, all in the face of a 26% increase in referrals and seeing people. So that's really quite impressive work. And you've got to be careful with these things, because when you look at this as an average across the whole system, you might think, well, is one team doing far better than the other? But this is the teams. And if you look here for the teams who are looking on reducing waiting times, you can see the real value of being in this collaborative, how most all teams have seen really quite impressive reductions. If we look at the number of referrals received, increases there, and look at DNAs. Real value from being in this collaborative, and you can see all the teams are getting a fairly large degree of benefit.